And we are back. It is the Field of 68 After Dark. My name is Rob Dawser. I have Sean Miller and Archie Miller with me. We are live on Sirius XM Channel 84. That is the ESPNU station. We are streaming on YouTube. If you're watching over there, hit that like button, jump in the chat, ask us some questions. We will be doing the After Dark Afters in just about 10 minutes. We have two things I want to get to here in this final segment, guys. I want to start with Duke. They went into John Paul Jones Arena. They knocked off Virginia tonight, and they did it on a night when Paolo was 2 for 13 from the floor. AJ Griffin made big plays down the stretch. Jeremy Roach made big plays down the stretch. It feels like we haven't really had a proper conversation about this Duke team in a couple of weeks, mostly because the ACC is not really all that good. But where are you guys right now with this group, Sean? And how worried are you about, some of there's definite question marks about their point guard play?
The guy that I love on Duke's team is Mark Williams. I thought he shined in November in some of the early showcase games when they played Gonzaga and Kentucky, and he hasn't stopped. He gives them something that not all Duke teams have had in the past, and that's some of the great teams that have ever been in college basketball in the ACC. I mean, he just has that presence of changing shots at the rim, dunking alley-oops, dunking second shots, finishing at the basket, and that physical presence. I think when you're talking about Oscar and Christian Coloco or Walker Kessler and those types of players, it's important to have someone like him. And I love his presence. I think he helps Duke on both offense and defense. Also seems to be such a high character guy, somebody that has been through the wars, not just showing up a few months back. And I like that ingredient on Duke's team. What you can poke holes in, there's always things that we could poke holes in almost on every team that's good in this country. But I love what he brings to the table. And I think that element really helps them.
Where are you at with Duke, Arch?
I think Duke's, really, really good, but the consistency of their guard, point guard play is one thing, but just their guard play in general. I think Jeremy Roach had a great game tonight. He had 15 points, probably one of his best games. He shot the ball 3 for 3 from three, but they're relying on really Keels and Moore to do the bulk of their playmaking, end of clock scoring. And it's not natural for those guys as much as it would be for maybe, a true point. But when you stack them up and you look at Paulo, Mark Williams, Griffin, and Wendell Moore, that's as talented as of a quadrant of guys that you're going to play against in terms not only physical, but how talented they are on both ends of the floor. And if they can get adequate, good, solid play, they only turned the ball over 8 times tonight. And that win that they had, I know Virginia, isn't having the Virginia-esque year, but most people will tell you right now, Virginia is one of the hardest places to win in college basketball. The crowd, the environment, especially when Duke's going in there, Coach K's coming down the stretch. I mean, that game tonight for Duke, that win, that was an impressive win that they just had. I mean, that is a hard win that they just had. And, they're heading towards a regular season conference championship first in a few years.
Not a few years.
12
more
years.
than a decade. Go ahead, Rob. The last time Duke won an ACC regular season championship and didn't share it was when?
2006. It's a long time. That's 16 years. Archie was still playing point guard at NC State then.
No, but I was in 2006. I was in the league that year. And I remember, I mean, it's hard to believe, to be honest with you.
But it's when the experience flipped, right? Instead of having Shane Battier for 4 years, today's version, they've had a lot of Shane Battiers for 1 year. And I'll tell you, if you think about it right now, they have 5 losses. I mean, you can vividly remember 3 of them, right? Miami, Florida State, and Virginia. 1 point, 1 point in overtime, and 2 points. 2 of the 3, it was almost like a head scratcher that they lost, right? Especially the Miami game at home. So, I mean, you look at their remaining schedule, they play Syracuse, Pitt, and North Carolina. The first 2 are on the road. North Carolina's at home. They have a real chance of being 29-5. The ACC is not good. It's historically the worst it's been maybe ever, but they've played such a good non-conference slate in addition to it. I mean, they've played Gonzaga, they've played Kentucky, they've played at Ohio State, that it's hard not to see Duke. Can Duke get to the Final Four this year, Rob? Absolutely. Again, if they're not a 1 seed, you don't want to see Duke in your bracket. You don't want to see Kentucky in your bracket.
Yeah, I just want to put in context how long ago this was that Duke had won a regular season title. Jared Dudley was on the Boston College team that was a 4 seed that finished 3rd in the conference that year. That's how long ago. Jared Dudley's been in the NBA so long that he's now the guy that gets contracts just to sit at the end of the bench and be a good locker room guy. And
I think Ed Cooley would have been the assistant.
I was an
at Boston
assistant
College.
at NC State, and Cooley was an assistant at Boston College, and
That's
season,
how long it goes.